A single photograph disappeared from a wooden table inside Highgrove House. Not a press release, not a royal announcement, not a dramatic television interview. Just one frame quietly removed from one of the most personal rooms in King Charles's private residence, and people inside royal circles noticed immediately, because the missing image was not random family decor. It was Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's 2018 wedding photograph. The smiling fairy tale image once placed proudly in the king's private space had vanished. In its place now sat two different photographs. One showed Charles with both William and Harry from happier years. The other showed the king holding Prince Louis. That detail changed everything. Today we are diving into a week that, on the surface, looked like another ordinary royal gossip cycle. A birthday photograph, a magazine tribute, a few newspaper briefings from California. But underneath those stories, something much bigger was happening. The signals were subtle, almost ceremonial, and together they painted a picture that even longtime Sussex supporters are struggling to ignore. Accounts from royal journalists, palace insiders, and photographers reveal a pattern that became impossible to miss during the past several days. A pattern involving distance, regret, and a monarchy quietly reorganizing itself without Prince Harry and Meghan Markle at the center of it. The first clue came from a birthday photograph. Princess Charlotte turned 11 this week, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, released a new official portrait. It was warm, relaxed, and deeply familiar to royal watchers. Charlotte looked confident, comfortable, surrounded by the kind of stable family structure the British public has watched William and Catherine carefully build over the years. But according to reporting connected to friends close to Prince Harry, that single image reportedly hit California harder than many realized. A source speaking through the Daily Mail claimed Harry feels very sad that Archie and Lilibet are missing out on the same kind of childhood their royal cousins enjoy in Britain. Read that carefully. For years, the Sussex narrative insisted their move to California created freedom, peace, and a healthier environment. But now, suddenly, briefings from Harry's own side appeared to admit something entirely different, that his children may have lost something important by leaving. Royal life behind, family connection, cousins, grandparents, a shared British childhood, and that is where things became complicated. Because within the very same article, another detail emerged that stunned royal commentators. Meghan Markle was reportedly described as viewing traditional British boarding schools as barbaric. One word, barbaric. Many are questioning how that description was allowed into the public conversation at all, especially when Prince George is widely expected to attend boarding school in the near future, following long-standing royal tradition. The timing felt impossible to ignore. Royal insiders immediately understood what the language implied. Whether intentional or not, it sounded like criticism aimed directly at William and Catherine's parenting choices. And that changed the tone of the entire story. What many people don't know is that British audiences usually tolerate royal disagreements quietly, but attacks involving children are treated very differently, especially when they appear to criticize the future king and queen's family decisions through anonymous media briefings. The reaction online became fierce almost overnight. Not explosive, not hysterical, something colder. People simply looked tired. That mood matters more than many realize. Because underneath all the glossy headlines and celebrity interviews, the Sussex brand has entered a dangerous stage politically and culturally. The public exhaustion is becoming visible. Recent polling numbers only deepened that perception. Prince William and Catherine remain among the most popular members of the royal family. King Charles, despite years of criticism and personal challenges, still holds solid approval ratings. Harry and Meghan do not, and those numbers now shape how every single Sussex story is interpreted. Then came the second signal, the missing wedding photograph. Royal photographer Chris Jackson posted fresh images from inside Highgrove this week while attending an event there. Observers immediately noticed that the Sussex wedding portrait previously displayed on a side table had disappeared, gone, not replaced with flowers, not replaced with artwork, replaced with family photographs emphasizing Charles's present emotional world rather than his past hopes for the Sussex future. One image showed Charles with William and Harry from earlier years. Another showed Charles holding Prince Louis. That detail hit royal watchers hard, because Buckingham Palace rarely communicates directly through emotional language. The monarchy speaks through placement, symbolism, tiny visual choices most people barely notice, but insiders notice, always. The late Queen Elizabeth understood this better than anyone. During her reign, even the placement of photographs during Christmas broadcasts carried meaning. Royal aides reportedly spent enormous time arranging exactly which family images appeared near the monarch each year, so when Harry and Meghan's wedding portrait vanished from one of Charles's most private spaces, commentators immediately understood the message. Not anger, distance, a father accepting reality. And there was one more moment this week that quietly deepened the entire picture. Prince Harry published a tribute to Sir David Attenborough in Time magazine celebrating the broadcaster's 100th birthday. On paper, it sounded harmless enough, respectful even. But the reaction became strangely uncomfortable almost immediately because many readers felt the writing did not sound remotely like Harry himself. The language felt polished, overwritten, corporate, almost artificial. One line described Attenborough as a secular saint, whose documentaries became the soft soundtrack of the home. Beautiful wording, but people kept asking the same question. Did Harry actually write it, or did a public relations team write something designed to sound profound? That question mattered because authenticity has become the single most valuable currency in modern public life. And the Sussexes have spent years branding themselves around emotional honesty and personal truth. So when a tribute begins sounding manufactured, audiences notice quickly, especially British audiences. And there is something genuinely sad underneath all of this, because none of these moments on their own are catastrophic. A missing photo, a newspaper briefing, a polished magazine article, small things. But together, they form a remarkably clear emotional picture. A prince reportedly longing for Britain while living thousands of miles away. A father quietly redesigning his private world around the family members still physically present in it. A public relations machine working harder and harder to generate warmth from an audience increasingly drifting elsewhere. But there's more to this story, because these signals did not emerge randomly. They came after years of growing distance, broken trust, and a public battle that slowly changed how Britain viewed the Sussex experiment entirely. And the deeper you look into the backstory, the clearer the current crisis becomes. What many people don't know is that Prince Harry was once the easiest royal in Britain to love. For years, he occupied a unique position inside the monarchy. William was the future king. Charles was the serious heir. Harry became the emotionally accessible one. Funny, reckless, charming. The prince who hugged children naturally and joked comfortably with crowds. After Princess Diana's death, public sympathy around Harry deepened enormously. People watched a young boy walk behind his mother's coffin in front of the entire world. That image stayed with Britain for decades. Royal insiders often described Harry as emotionally open in ways other royals struggled to be, and for a long time, that vulnerability worked in his favor. Then Meghan Markle arrived. At first, the story looked perfect. Modern monarchy, American actress, mixed-race bride joining one of the oldest institutions in Europe. The wedding at St. George's Chapel in May 2018 felt genuinely historic. Crowds filled Windsor. The mood was euphoric. Many believed Meghan could help modernize the monarchy and bring fresh energy into royal life. Even critics admit the beginning felt hopeful. But accounts from journalists and palace insiders reveal tension began developing far earlier than the public understood. Differences in working style reportedly emerged almost immediately. Meghan preferred fast-moving, celebrity-style communication. The palace operated slowly, cautiously, and obsessively around hierarchy. Those worlds collided quickly. Unlike William and Catherine, who spent years gradually adjusting to royal expectations before marriage, Harry and Meghan entered public life at full speed almost instantly. And that pressure started showing. There were reports of staff resignations, stories about internal conflicts, briefings and counter-briefings appearing constantly across newspapers. Palace aides reportedly struggled to manage the couple's media strategy because it often changed direction rapidly. Then came the larger fracture, the decision to leave royal duties entirely in 2020. At the time, Harry and Meghan framed the move as necessary for mental health, privacy, and personal freedom. Oprah interviews followed. Netflix documentaries followed. Harry's memoir, Spare, followed. Each project revealed more family conflict publicly, and every revelation deepened. The divide. The monarchy traditionally survives through silence and continuity. The Sussex strategy moved in the opposite direction. Public disclosure became central to their post-royal identity. That worked initially, especially in America. Streaming platforms paid enormous sums. Interviews generated headlines globally. Sympathy for Harry and Meghan remained high in many international media spaces. But over time, something shifted. People began noticing a pattern. Every new project returned to the same subject. The royal family. The institution they claimed to escape remained the center of almost every commercial venture afterward. Critics increasingly argued the Sussexes wanted royal relevance without royal obligation, and that perception damaged them badly in Britain. Meanwhile, William and Catherine took the exact opposite approach. They spoke less. They appeared steadily. They focused on public engagements, charities, family appearances, and royal continuity rather than personal grievance. That contrast slowly became politically important, especially after Queen Elizabeth died. The monarchy entered a vulnerable transition period. Charles became king during immense uncertainty. Yet rather than collapsing into chaos, the institution stabilized faster than many expected. Princess Anne continued working relentlessly. William grew more confident publicly. Catherine became increasingly central to the monarchy's image. And Harry remained outside the structure entirely. That separation now shapes every royal story involving him. Many are questioning how reconciliation could realistically happen after so many years of public conflict, especially because trust inside royal institutions operates differently than ordinary family relationships. For the monarchy, private conversations are political assets, and Harry repeatedly turned private conversations into public content. That mattered deeply inside palace circles. Then came another turning point people often overlook: the issue of the children. For years, Archie and Lilibet remained mostly invisible publicly. Harry and Meghan argued strongly for privacy around them. Yet at the same time, occasional interviews and documentaries continued referencing their royal connections repeatedly. This created a contradiction audiences increasingly noticed. The children were protected from visibility while simultaneously remaining important to the Sussex public narrative. And now, suddenly, briefings began emerging suggesting Harry wanted his children educated partly in Britain.